Hello. Hi. That's right. Adjusting the camera. Can you hear me? Always. Never prepared or believing that I've done it right. That's how I roll. Welcome to streams that I had in no way intended on doing, but then had time and felt like it. Let me fix my baby hairs. They're just not doing what I want them to do. Hello. And I hope you're enjoying whatever time it is. For me, it is evening, nighttime. But there were a bunch of things going on that I thought would be fun to chat about. It was a bunch of things that happened today, and I was like, I'm not doing anything. Let's just come and talk about them. Firstly, I have to say that Sweet Tooth, the poll, it has amused me and gone in a direction that I did not expect. I posted the "Are you interested in Sweet Tooth?" and the yes, no, maybe. What is it? And the what is it is leading by a huge, huge margin. And I also got a lot of, you mean the clown from Twisted Metal? And I didn't realize that people remembered that video game series so fondly. But no, it's a comic by Jeff Lemire, and they're doing a Netflix show. And also, you're famous when people are happy that you are producing, because they're like, Robert Downey Jr. producing. And I'm like, wow, he's just producing. But people are real stoked. It's an interesting comic series. It's very bleak, and the tone of the commercial for the adaptation was very much like it's a dark, whimsical fairy tale. And I was like, oh no, we'll see. This unit's doing everything tonight, but that's okay. So I'm thinking of potentially doing a review of the first issue just to let people know what it is, since so many people seem to not even know what. But yeah, so maybe. Then I also got someone who was like, what? Everybody's talked about that. And I was like, clearly not, because there is a huge contingent that's like, what? It's over 60% last time I checked. So that is a decent amount. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad so many of you could just, come and hang out. I never announce these impromptu ones because there's a curse, I'm telling you, that if I announce these, then for some reason, something happens. And something happens, and then, it just all horribly goes awry. It's a curse that I've carried over from past channels I've worked on. I'll be like, I'm streaming now, and then it just does not happen. I'll wait a few more minutes to pile in to talk about this Doctor Strange thing that caught my eye, but I will tell you how I got to Doctor Strange, which was I was thinking about what ifs and Marvel what ifs, and I was like, oh, there's a Doctor Strange one that I really remember liking, where him and Doctor Doom switch. That way, because there's a couple of Doctor Doom becomes somebody else. And so I remember one with him, though. I remember it being good. So it led me down this Doctor Strange rabbit hole. And then, of course, if you're just casually typing in Doctor Strange, you're going to see whatever news is there. And if you're like me, you're going to click on it like a moth to a flame, because you can't leave it alone. Just like I can't stop. This is duh. When I'm filming, I don't have to look in my viewfinder and I don't see all the little stragglies and stuff like that. So, how are you all doing tonight, or whatever time it is where you are? Ooh, I have an edit button. I've never used the edit button. Haha. Remember I said that I was going to have Streamlabs at some point? That's still happening. I just really want to test it out. I'm probably going to test out an unlisted stream, because I'm sure my setup looks super wonky and I'm not prepared for the embarrassment. So I need to get some teenager to come and be like, this is how you tech all the tech. Then I won't have an incident like my shorts again, because okay, shorts. Here's what happened. Did you know that for the instructions for shorts, it just says vertical? It doesn't have ratios or anything like that. So if you're a hip, cool cat who is posting all kinds of Instagram stories and TikToks and stuff, you'll be like, I got this. If you're a noob like me, you'll just be like, I will export in this aspect ratio. And then no, it didn't happen. did not happen. But I know I did it right the second time because it activated an entire new section in the back end. It was like one of those tech shows, just like woo, 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 shorts. And so all of a sudden there was a shorts shelf, a shorts analytic, a shorts everything. And I was like, well, I did it correctly. Because they can be squares. Somebody came for me and they were like, excuse me, you still did it wrong. It's this by this. And I was like, haha, my back activated. So I know that I did it right. It can be a square. Eka Poland, thank you very much. We just cool and barbecue here in Los Angeles. Well, it was too cold up here to barbecue anything today. So I see a bunch of you are like, what happened to Doctor Strange? Okay, so I stumbled across a Doctor Strange article about WandaVision, which is a show that I did watch. And they were discussing how Doctor Strange was almost in it and ultimately why he wasn't. And they had an interview with Kevin Feige, and I just, the reasoning of all the reasonings I was expecting, the one that they actually presented, I had issues with on so many levels. I have it up for you. I have the quote. So let me read you the quote because it's just why so many things. Here it is. I'm so high tech. I've got my phone. Woo. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Some people might say, oh, it would have been so cool to see Doctor Strange, but it would have taken away from Wanda, which is what we didn't want to do. We didn't want the end of the show to be commoditized to go to the next movie. Here's the white guy. Let me show you how power works. Just, let's all take a minute and breathe it in. Firstly, there's so many things. So I thought about it on many levels. For one thing, it completely decontextualizes the characters and it takes them away from the internal logic of their own universe. Not even the comic book universe, but the MC universe in and of itself. In that Doctor Strange is the Sorcerer Supreme. And so I don't think you can be annoyed with people for being like, there's the magic show, where's the magic man? And it would make sense for Doctor Strange to show up narratively. And also, you control the narrative, so you can make the encounter however you want. It doesn't have to be like that at all. You are in complete control of the scape. And just to reduce the characters down to some base asset traits like that they can't control is, to me, troublesome. It's also incredibly insulting to Wanda, in my opinion, to say that she could have this entire show, this entire thing backed on her, and that he appears for 5 minutes, it completely derails her. Like, it would take away from her. Like, she's that weak of a character that he can't appear in the frame, or like all of her cred will disappear. I wish they had just come out and said something like, we don't want to pay him, or he's too popular. We don't want people throwing their panties in the boxers on the set. Like, I don't know. Just that quote, it's one of those things that leaves you with not a nice taste in your mouth. You know, you're just kind of like, oh. Alcidre, thank you very much. I was studying boring copyright laws, so this is a very nice diversion. I do not think copyright laws are boring. They factor a lot into what I do because, you know, when I was reviewing Vampirella and stuff, you got to know about the copyright laws to know how much you can and can't put. So, WandaVision was an experience. And I say the more that people keep talking about it afterwards, I'm just like, stop talking. Just stop talking about it. All the interviews. I'm like, please stop. Just stop talking. You're making it worse. Stop interviewing these people. Stop interviewing everybody. No more interviews. I just want somebody to like run out and be like, stop. Cut. Like the PR person just does like a nosedive onto the set, the giant white hook. They grab it off the wall and just start yoinking it. Like, stop talking. Oh, man. And it was, sometimes, you know, you read an article and you're like, why did I do this? Why did I click on this? This isn't what I wanted to do with my day. I wanted happiness and joy, which I did get when I then actually found the what if, which I may talk about at some point or may just have reread, because I actually like Doctor Strange a lot, but he just never comes up, or it's like, it's like a fleeting passing, and then I'll be like, oh, on to the next thing that I want to talk about, which incidentally is confusion. There's a lot of confusion going around. Like when I did the Nocturna video recently, a lot of the comments were, what's Connor doing? What happened to Connor? What have they done to my boy? Look how they massacred my boy. So I actually did a video and I'm going to explain what's going on with Connor. But just the whole Omniverse has created a lot of confusion for people, let's say. Tim Ross, thank you for the super chat. Hereby very politely requesting a history of Shade the Changing Man and Occasionally Woman. Thanks for being awesome. Thank you for watching. And Shade the Changing Man and yes, Occasionally Woman is actually a comic that I would love to tackle. I think Shade's so interesting. There's a lot I want to get to, but my kids are home for a little bit because up here we've got lockdown things going on. So I'm like, got to be economical and figure out logistics and things. I'm definitely doing Wonder Girl though. Next, I thought it was this week. I was so keen. Actually, I think it's 2 weeks from now. I was so keen. I was like Tuesday. I was like, I remembered that it was Tuesday and everything, and logged on. And it was like, you don't get this for a few weeks. And I was like, oh, I was too keen. You see, this is what happens when you get too excited. You don't realize when things are actually coming out. But I did read an interesting indie comic called Eve that I liked. It was this kind of environmental sci-fi dystopian, like the earth is drowned. It gave me like very J.G. Ballard, The Drowned World, and also kind of Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood vibes. And I liked both those. So potentially I will like this. And of course it's, a little girl traveling with her cyborg teddy bear across the drowned world. So that's something that I just found interesting and fun. Anthony Rios, thank you very much. Do you think the way some of the MCU movies are going with awake moments, do you think it takes away from some scenes and characters? What do you mean awake moments? I think that the MCU has been really derailed by like everything going on in terms of like how it's coming out and stuff like that. So I feel like it's hard for them to rebuild their hype machine. And I also just think like tonally and reading the room, it's very different depending upon where you are in the world and what's going on with other things. Like it can be kind of hard to get excited for something like that, depending upon where you are, like to get heavy for like 2 seconds. Like we just narrowly avoided instituting like triage protocols and stuff where I am. So it's much more focused on things like that and less on like, yeah, movies that won't even go to places that I can go because I can't leave my house. So it's just very much, everybody's in a very different place. And so I feel like they're kind of like, you want to get hype? And like some people can, and other people are like, no, I can't. So I did watch the latest MCU trailer, and I did laugh at how much of it was like, do you remember? I was like, I do remember. And now I feel old because I've been watching this since 2008. So yeah, that was a thing. The vote is going on right now on the members tab for the next book club book. And I'm going to be announcing that pretty soon. I think it's got a clear-cut winner this time. It looks like we've got a very solid, I think it's gonna be Marvels. It looks like it's gonna be Kurt Busiek's Marvels, which is cool. And I have the latest edition, which has all the extra like letters and stuff at the back and all of that. So that'll be fun if that does win, unless all the members I see here are like, no, and they go and run and then just try. And I don't know, what was the runner up? I'm trying to remember what the runner up was now. I think it was Dark Knight, the Paul Dini story that he wrote about the time he was mugged and how Batman helped him get through that, which is also really interesting and potentially, something we will touch on someday. So we will see. I can see out of the corner of my eye a bunch of you being like, Invincible reviews when? And I'm like, but Black Scorpion first. I feel like everybody's going to be reviewing like all this like browse up stuff, and I'm gonna be like, hey guys, you ready for Lady Death? Let's talk about bad girls and bad girl art and good girl art, which are kind of the same thing despite their different names. Alcidre, thank you very much. Sorry from the change in comic fandoms, but what is your opinion on the new CW show of Superman and Lois? I like what they did so far, and I'm hopefully optimistic. I've seen a few episodes of Superman and Lois. I have enjoyed it. They went on hiatus though, and that's like always doom for me. Then I'm like, well, see you at the end, because I am going to forget. I know I'm going to forget. Like, I'll probably write it down somewhere and be like, this is a thing that I should do, or write a memo or something, and then completely forget about it, and then stumble upon it like a month later and be like, oh yeah, that was a thing I was watching or doing, like the 80 other things that I was also watching or doing. So yeah, there's always a lot going on here. A lot. Do you like my giant, ridiculous novelty straw? My daughter picked it last time we went to the grocery store. She was like, we need big straws. And I was like, okay. I actually really like them. They're very, very, very soft. They're very like, which is perfect. Like, they're kid proof, but they're also one of those things that like adults can also enjoy. Here I'm reviewing straws. That's my next channel, like straw review. Is anybody else terrified of the metal straws? I watched too many action movies growing up, and all I can think about is like somebody coming up behind you and going, just straw going right through the back, you know? Can't think about it. Can't think about it at all. No. DC round robin. I think they did the latest round. I haven't even looked. I have not even looked. They've started, but this one, because there's more pages, there's more time. So I'm like, I'll get to it. I'll get to it when I get to it. Connor first. Connor Kent. People need to care about Con-El. I care about Con-El. I've read way more of the 2021 Suicide Squad than I was expecting to. Just catching up on all the various things that have been going on there. Oh, there's so many things to catch up on and read. Yes, it's a good thing. It's an exciting time to be reading so many different things. At least I'm having fun with it. Oh, Heroes Reborn came out today. I did read the first issue of that, or skimmed it. But I mean, you can't say skimmed on Comixology. It is not skimming. It's awkwardly rated, like waiting for the pages to load. But so far, I have the reaction that I thought I was going to have. I like Kamala's new costume. I actually really do. I just wish they'd given her a better name than Girl Power. I'm like, why? Why did you do that to Kamala? Like, don't do that to her. Like, come on. You give people cool names. Don't do this. Like, that's such a 90s name, though. I can imagine that. They're like, what can we name it that's like right on the nose? Yeah. Yes, this is an attic. It's an attic, and I love it because it's like living inside of being John Malkovich, because you can only stand up fully in certain areas, and that's exciting. It's nice. It was one of the selling points when we decided to get this place, was that it has an attic that you can actually be in, which I think is pretty cool. It's more than just a storage space, which is nice. There we go. Heroes Reborn has kind of made me want to do a thing I've wanted to do for a while, though, which is a comparison of how when alternate universe things happen, there's a tendency to kind of make Peter low-key Jimmy Olsen, and they're very different. And then I realized that how close my voices are for Peter and Jimmy, and I was like, that would be really funny. I was like, I need to do a video where I have to talk about like be Peter and Jimmy at the same time. I do need to catch up on Punchline. I know Miracle Molly made her first appearance. I know they're banking on speculators for that one, because the cover was all like, meet Miracle Molly. I can feel them being like, buy this one. So it's not a world that I live in. I talked about it briefly with Maurice during our interview for Clan of the Devil. I have the floppies back there. I always like to give a few days when I do contests to let things really roll in. And so I'll probably I'll leave a comment later. I'll probably do the picking of the winners over the weekend, and then, do that. Cause I don't know. That's just how I do giveaways and things. Also, it'll give me time to organize the hellscape of going to the pandemic post office, but it's going to get done. It's gonna get done. So yeah, lots of exciting things. I have another interview too that I need to edit and get up. That's been fun. It's been fun to just talk to people about their projects. I really enjoy hearing what people have to say about their own work. And I always do try to get a question in there that is not the usual generic questions. I mean, like, you need those too, because that's what people want to hear. But I also like to try and get something a bit unique in there as well. It's like, I was at a wedding once and there was a photographer there, and his thing was he didn't do any pose shots. You know, like the traditional shots, the ones that people want, like the people all standing together in the group shots. He was like, no, everything is candid. And I remember it was so cold and he had us go out and just, you know, like jump, go here, put sunglasses on, stand by this car, lean against the car, do the thing. And then there was a backup photographer there who would like pull everybody aside and be like, okay, stand in a group and smile. And it's like, of course, which shots do you think got you? You've got to have both. You have to have both. You can't have all one or the other. With all things, it's a metaphor for life. Oh. So I thought I would do a poll here as well. How many of you are familiar with Sweet Tooth, the comic book, not the psychedelic metal clown from Twisted Metal? So I need to know. I want to see, like, I want to gauge the interest over here. John Tide, thank you very much for the super chat. Thoughts on Grant Morrison doing the Superman and the Authority book? We'll have to see how it turns out. I'll give anything a shot, you know, but yeah, I can see that going. I see that being a very like love it or hate it kind of entry. I don't see it being a very like, that was the thing I read. I feel like people will have feelings about it, you know. Grant Morrison is a very like hit or miss for me personally. So we'll have to see. It's totally like, it's not totally because there was a forum incident. Mr. Another, thank you very much. It's good to see you streaming again. It's good to be streaming again. Maybe this time I can make it past the 40-minute mark, and maybe my daughter will actually, don't even say it. Just stop it. Knocking on the wood. Don't jinx. There's no soda up here. Can't jinx anything. Robert Wilmot, thank you very much. You're my ultimate favorite, Sasha. I always look forward to your videos. Have you read any of the House of X, Sword of X, and Reign of X? Thank you very much. And I read I did read the beginning. I read House of X, and I will say Powers of X or Powers of 10. And I remember all the arguments that started about that. And I was like, well, it's time to dip. But it was one of those things where I was interested, but I wanted to see where it was going. And then I keep checking back in and it's still going. So I'm like, okay, so it hasn't coalesced into really a thing yet. I'm still very much in the, okay, but where is it going kind of phase of things. I'm like, maybe when it's all done, some things for me, at least when you're looking at it, I'm like, how this ends or the arc concludes or the overarching theme is really going to determine how I feel about it. And I feel like that's one of those things. All I know now is I've seen all the pictures of the Hellfire Gala and the costumes and all of that jazz, and seen people, you know, tripping out about them. And I'm very much in that kind of feeling about it. Oh, I'm pretty mellow about most things, or at least willing to try and examine it and where it's coming from. Like even that, like Doctor Strange thing, I don't like it. But I feel more like talking about it and why I don't agree with it and why I don't think it works than just, you know, upending my computer and yeeting it out the window. As tempting as that. No, it's not tempting at all. The thought of having to buy a new computer and the cost associated with it is horrifying. The destruction. No. Oh, I'm glad I got your name right. It was a complete guess. You know, normally I get the names wrong. So yeah, Invincible. One of the things about Invincible, I have to say, because I see a bunch of you like the finale, and yes, the finale did happen. The voice acting was so good. I'm a big voice acting person. I love voice acting so much. I really admire it. And one of my pet peeves is when you have people go up and you're like, anybody can do it, like whatever, it's so easy. I'm like, it is a skill. Like any type of acting, it is a skill. And some people can transport you with their voice and their performances, and they can really make or break certain things. And so for me, the voice acting in this was really good. I've always loved Stephen Ewan's voice acting, like since in Voltron and onwards. I think it's really, really good. And so that was one thing I really enjoyed. And it took the series up a whole other level for me, at least personally. Mr. Another, thank you very much. Super Chat is not letting me recommend a couple of titles. Is there an alternate way of getting these titles to you? You can always email me, like email me suggestions or whatever. I like getting emails. Sometimes there's too much for me to reply to all of them, but I do enjoy it. It's like mail. I feel so happy when I open it and there's new stuff. I'm like, oh my God, mail. Oh. So please feel free. Now it's going to be like, there's too many stuff. The shirt's not puffy. What's on your blouse? It's just generic comic book stuff. When I saw it, it had the comic book on one side and then the black on the other. So it's kind of got like a two-face thing. I've worn it before. I know I'm recycling my shirts well because I hear people be like, you're always wearing a new shirt. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm actually not. Success, achievement. I'm also wearing scrunchies for no reason, even though I'm not going to be. I'm not going to be using them in any way. How do y'all feel about voice acting? Is it something that you guys are really into? I'm so passionate about it. I used to lightly do, some of you know this, but I used to do a little bit of audiobook narration back a few years ago now. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I would love to get back to doing it if I had time again, because that was really fun. And sometimes you'd be reading a book and you'd be like, this is really good. Or other times you'd be like, this is not good. Boo. But you can't do anything because you're just narrating. Oh, man. Oh, another thing I wanted to ask you. I'm going to ask also in the upcoming video, I'll ask you here too. What about the Omniverse is confusing you? Because there are a couple of things for me that I'm like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Like the whole, like everything is together. I'm like, but certain backstories or things that have happened, I'm like, they can't, like it doesn't, I don't, head just explodes scanner style, which is a clip I love using. Like it's time for scanners. There are so many other head exploding moments you can use. I'm like, but scanners though. I like scanners and I will forever be putting up clips from scanners because I can. Oh, my email is casuallycomics@gmail.com. Nice, simple, succinct, to the point. I also put it at the bottom of every video. Like I have all my information down there, like my Kofi, my Instagram, even though I never post because like I never think of anything to post ever. Sometimes I'll look at things and be like, is that a picture I should take? I don't know. And by then the moment's gone. So that's usually what happens. But Kofi has some exciting features coming up that I'm excited about, and I think I'm going to utilize them. They're coming up with a more Patreon style service, but without all the shenanigans of the Patreon backend. Some of you have asked me like why I don't have a Patreon. I had a Patreon with my other channel, but there's a lot of chicanery that goes on with how they remove the funds from you guys that is not upfront. They're not upfront about how the money comes out or exactly where it goes. So that was something I wasn't really a big fan of like using them. Also at the time, it was just like, it was a bit overwhelming, but I'm like, now I think I'm in a better place, maybe be able to use a service kind of like that. So if I do end up using it, I'll of course let you guys know and do an announcement. Maybe I'll do a short because, so, okay, here's the thing. The thing with shorts is that nobody knows how they end up on the shelf or not. It's a legit mystery. You have to wait 2 days to see if you got put on the shelf. So I'm nearing the end of day 2. So I'll know soon. I'm like, I'm so excited. I want to know. I'm like, did it make it? I don't know why I'm so fixated on this, but for some reason, like this became my goal of the week. And I was like, my arc is complete. And somebody commented, they were like, you need to dream bigger. I'm like, look, let me have this. I'm not saying this is my only goal of life, but let me have this. I feel very accomplished for having figured this out, you know? I'm glad. It was a silly thing, but like sometimes the little things that you just figure out leave you feeling really good. Sometimes you need those simple little wins like that. Like, yeah, that was a thing that I did and accomplished. Oh, well, let me see. All of you want Invincible videos. There is, okay, if you are legit, if you're a person who is curious about Invincible, Key Issues is doing everything. All up on my feed because I watched a couple of Invincible clips. It's just like Key Issues gives you the entire history of all the characters. So I'm like, you know what? If you are just confused and you don't know, Key Issues has got you covered. Like just all of the stuff. If you're waiting for me specifically for whatever reason, I don't know. It'll happen when it happens or if it happens. I really just do whatever videos I feel like doing. I know that's not great for the SEO or anything like that, but it's fun. It's fun to just go wherever, you know, whims take us kind of thing. So yeah, and right now I'm in a weird Vampirella schlocky 90s movie, bunch of other stuff going on, and that's where I am, even though I did watch Invincible. I don't know. That's just how the cookie crumbles. Sometimes. It's one of those things where I'm like, if an idea strikes me and there's something I really want to talk about with Invincible, I'll do it. But on the whole, like Invincible is huge. Like there is so much in there to cover. Is it June 4th for Sweet Tooth? That's how much I paid attention to that trailer. I'm too busy watching K-dramas, and so now that's all my thing wants to give me. It's like, recommend all the K-dramas. Goddess of Whim, thank you very much for the super chat. You do you, Sasha, and we love you for it. I love you guys for watching. I always appreciate it. It's, you know, it's getting the comments is one of my favorite things. I do still read all of them when I can, or at least the ones that get sent to my phone, because sometimes the app does not app the way that it is supposed to, because that's just the way, you know, these things work. But the app's pretty good in terms of alerting you to when stuff is happening, I find. I've heard that, yeah, Amber, maybe there is a video like what they did to Amber in the show versus how Amber is in the comic, because they like really dialed up how annoying she is. And then people are like, how dare you be annoyed with Amber? I'm like, listen, she was full Carol Ferris in the 70s. If you don't remember Carol Ferris from that time period, oh, there's an issue that one day, because it's hilarious, Hal leaves to go and save a planet, and you see him like on the planet, it's coming apart, he's getting refugees off the planet, everything, and while he's away, the demolition team takes out Ferris airfields, and so he gets back, and it's just destroyed, and she's like, this is why we can't be together, I can't count on you, I need you to be here, and I'm like, he was saving another planet, and he was like, woe is me, she's right, Jon Stewart Ware, and I'm like, no. Like Jon Stewart Ware, yes, always. But you were saving another world. And it was like, no, this is, you know, he's not managing his priorities right. I'm like, he has to do so many other planets, not just Earth. I was there yelling at the pages like, no, stop. Why are you like this? Hal's one of those characters where like sometimes he's written so badly. And then people are like, Hal. I'm like, no, the people writing him, like they're doing this to him. The worst is Aricia, where the author takes it from him literally saying, you're like a sister to me and I want you to stop. We can't do this. This is like I don't look at you that way, to banging in a cave. And I'm like, that's just bad writing. Mr. Extremes, thank you very much for the super chat. Love your show. Always a treat. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much for watching. It's always fun to work on all of these episodes. I'm really hyped about Green Lantern again. That always happens. I've been reading the new Green Lantern. I love Green Lantern. Just Green Lantern all the time. There are so many hilarious Green Lantern moments to highlight and pinpoint and bring out. Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh. Where is Hal Jordan in Infinite Front? He's somewhere. Listen, there's so much Hal. We have so many lanterns to get to. We can spotlight. I'm actually really excited for Joe. Joe's coming next issue, and I really like Joe, so I'm excited for that. I really liked Far Sector a lot, so I'm excited to see more of Joe in the main canon. And can I tell you my super, really cringy, like awful ship that I like already low-key have between like her and Hal Jordan? I'm like, they'd hate each other, and it's perfect. It's like I was watching a Skill Up review of Resident Evil Village, aka Step on Me, Vampire Mommy, and in the middle of it, it just devolves into like his fanfic of like Chris Redfield and Lady Dimitrescu, and I was like, yes, full video on Patreon. It was so funny. I can't wait for that this weekend. I'm not gonna have time to play it myself, but I'll probably during next week be able to watch some people or who streamed it or something, and I'm looking forward to that. I like watching watching gameplay of games that I'm not going to have time to play probably for years. So, and I know that she's not the main focus, but the memes and stuff have made me laugh. I like the hilarious thirst for Lady D. It's been really amusing for me. Oh, and people have already made Thomas the Tank Engine mods and everything. I'm like, why is Thomas the Tank Engine always the go-to? It makes me so happy that there's just somebody who's like, a new game, Thomas the Tank Engine mod. My time has come. So good. Oh. St. Lucia, thank you very much. Red citrus because of your Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Yes, citrus. Citrus is an experience, isn't it? Citrus is one of those things like hot gimmick that I own but can't be on my shelf because I'm like, I don't want to have to explain it to people. I'm like, listen. Sometimes there's a divide between reality and fantasy, and it needs to be there because sometimes things you gotta work through some things, but they're entertaining. Like sometimes that's part of the fantasy escapist nature of some fiction, is just that it's outlandish and ridiculous, but that's part of the fun, being in that space for a bit and then leaving and coming back to reality and being like, okay, time for real world things. Where are my bills at? Time to do that. Where are my bills? Oh gosh. Time to file my taxes. Time to send down to the IRS for my ITIN, which has been crazy dealing with all of that. My goodness. Brady J. Pearson, thank you very much. Thank you for such great content. Do you know Matt Wagner's Grendel series? I know of it. I have not actually read it though, but I do know of it. What did I read lately? There's a new thing that I read and it was recent. Now I'm totally blanking on it. I read so many things. I've been trying to reread a lot of the old stuff that I have too, because otherwise it just fills me with like that reminds me, stream of consciousness. Remember last stream, if you were here, we talked about Astro City, and then I found out that so many of them were out of print, and some of you were roasting me. They're like, they've been out of print for years. And my brain shut down for a minute as I tried to figure out how I was going to get them. I'm going to tell you the journey because I found them. I found all of the volumes that I was missing. So here's what happened. So right after I went on and they were nowhere. I was like, oh my God, they're out of print on all like the main bookstores that exist up here. So I went to eBay and it was ridiculous. There were people there with their, their auctions, like, oh, bid it up. And then there was one person who had the entire like single floppies, 1 to 50, and I was like, They were kind of low-key reasonable, but then the shipping was one of those ones where the shipping was like $1 million. So I was like, no, not that. I Googled every single comic book shop that we have here. I found one in the Silver Snail in Toronto, and then 2 I found in this really small Quebec bookstore, so small that the website was entirely in French. There was no English anywhere, but I was like, those are the books I want and I can read this. And so I ordered the entire thing in French and they're coming to me and I'm like, yes, there's language laws in Quebec. So sometimes things need to fully be in French, even if there's English things offered in the store, it's a thing. But I was like, I found them all and they will all come to me. I'm so pleased. It's going to take forever, but it's worth it. Jude 5446, thank you very much. Omniverse equals Grant Morrison, fits with altered consciousness. Also Spidey / Red Sonja, Alter Schlock, Ultra schlocky. Claremont / Byrne appropriation at its best? ? That is a question mark indeed. Anything / Red Sonja is like, question mark. I found out / Witchblade the other day, and I was like, Witchblade, don't reignite my love of Witchblade. I can't go there again. I mean, I can and I will, but not right now. Anthony Rios, thank you very much. One more question that's off topic. What do you think the DCU has to do to catch up with the MCU in terms of storyline and characters? I'm going to be controversial. I don't think they have to catch up. I just think they need to do their own thing. I don't think they need to try to be the MCU. The MCU is the MCU, and it can be over there, and the DC universe should do its own thing. And I think they have the ability to draw people in with their own materials, and just don't worry. It's like the life advice they give you. Don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to yourself from like yesterday and the day before. And I think they need to do that instead of like, don't try and keep up with the Joneses. Stop it. Bruce Moore, thank you very much. You're the best. Any thoughts or feelings on Tim Drake? I liked him. I do like Tim. Actually, some people pointed out some interesting stuff about how they feel that Damian copies a lot of things that happen with Tim. And I'm like, that's a very interesting thing that could be worth discussing, because there's definitely something there. But on the whole, I like Tim. Tim's kind of been a bit lost in the shuffle. Like always happens when there's a new Robin or Bat character. The others kind of have to reshuffle and figure out where they're going. Jude, thank you again. Also, my son and I love the channel. Smart and fun. Oh, I'm so glad you both enjoy it. I know there are a bunch of people who watch with their kids, and that's why I'm always like, gotta be careful. Gotta keep it slightly PG, or at least make it really obvious when it's about to not be. Robert Wilmot, please do a series about your fave Green Lanterns and Earth. The Green Lantern whim will never die. It just pops up. I mean, I have that episode that I did purely because I wanted to talk about Hal Jordan accidentally doing shrooms. So you know that I just like cataloging the mess of Hal Jordan. Okay, Hal Jordan's hilarious to me. I'm sure I've probably said this before, but I will say it again for those who haven't heard it potentially. There's a perception that the comic universe wants you to have of Hal Jordan, and then there's how he's been presented over the years. And the perception they want is like, he's cool and suave and a ladies' man, and he's in the cockpit and all this stuff. Look at him. And then there's the Hal you see who's tripping over his feet and can't pay his bills and can't keep a job and all that stuff. And I'm like, there are two Hals. And I like mess Hal. Like Hal, who is a great Green Lantern, but a mess of a person. And I feel like that would also make him more interesting. It was part of why the Grant Morrison thing didn't really work for me, the taking it back to basics. Also, I did not take it back to basics. That was a lie. But one day we'll talk about that. Gray 1213, because I can't say the complex numbers right now, apparently. Tim is the man. Dude took down Anarchy before he even became Robin. True stuff. Alexi Thyme, thank you very much for the super chat. Or is it time? Love your stuff. When you covered Monica Rambeau, did you cover Next Wave? It was a great series. Wish you success. Thank you very much. And I did not cover Next Wave, where it was like a Monica Rambeau moment. And it'll probably come back because I really like her. I do want to hopefully at some point, because at the time of this recording, I don't want to promise things and then not actually do them. Talk about when she came to lead the Avengers and stuff like that in the arc, and like just kind of follow her through time, because some of these characters are so old, and I feel that some of their history ends up getting a little lost on occasion. And so it doesn't give a complete picture if you haven't seen where they came from. But that takes time and research, obviously, to go through, all of that stuff. Second Street Marvel, thank you very much. Love the channel. Don't read most, if not any of the books you talk about. It's you. I'd listen to you talk about anything. You're entertaining. Thank you very much. You say that now, but will you be saying that when I'm reviewing Black Scorpion? I don't know. Goddess of Whim. I saw the Spider-Woman Needle comic a few weeks back. To my shame, I didn't get it. I will get it. And you have to get it. Get the Needle comic. Next time you see it, you got to grab the Needle comic. That's entertainment. That run of Spider-Woman is, it's interesting. Mike Murray. Thank you very much. Any titles you can't wrap your head around the popularity of, current or past? Yes. 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 Last good one. Thank you very much for the super chat. I'm debating whether I should. I'm thinking about it. Hold on. I'm pondering whether I'll tell you because it's so controversial. Mr. Another, can we get Hal Jordan series with free bar of soap? That would be a promotion I would run. Something ridiculous like that. Like, for every copy you buy, Hal will trip on his way out the shower. I'll give you a signed photo of Hal tripping on his way out the shower. Tube is the one. Thank you very much. What do you think of the Milestone Infinite Zero issue? Will you do a video on it? I actually haven't read it as of yet. You know what they've been doing though, because of they're releasing that, they've been digitizing the classic stuff. So you can get some of those too, which, you know, I've been recollecting Static because they've been releasing it that way. I like Static a lot. Probably because of the cartoon, which they got me into the comic years later. I loved Static Shock so much. Don Sean, thank you very much. You're my favorite and primary source for comic book history. Just saying. No, go around all the different places. You need a complete picture. Don't just, I appreciate it, but don't just, not just me. Okay, I'm going to, okay. I do want to. You know I want to. Okay, the series that I did not gel with, that I keep on my shelf, that I reread in a please let me like you, that other people say is their favorite, they say is seminal, that they say you must love. Grant Morrison's New X-Men. Oh God, me in that series. I have so many issues with it. It's not just the Zorn thing. It is not just the, he was not Zorn, he was Magneto, but then he was actually Zorn pretending not to be Zorn, who was Zorn, because they had to do like so many retcons to fix that. It wasn't Cat Beast. It wasn't the psychic affair because, you know, he's done that before. That wasn't even like the first time Cyclops has done something like that. So, you know, but no, that whole, and a lot of the things introduced there that are now like things are also things I didn't like secondary mutations and a whole bunch of stuff. It's just, and that was, I think, my first experience of getting like really roasted on a forum or like getting into it on a forum. Like, let me tell you about my forum experience about this. So I was just like, it's not my favorite thing. You didn't understand it. You're just not smart enough to understand Morrison. He's a genius. You don't understand. Like, you're just not grasping the work. You just, you know, you're the fake fan. Why can't you understand it? And like all this stuff. I'm like, I understand it. I just don't like it. But that's the go-to defense. It's just like, you didn't get it. It's like, no, I got it. So then you end up getting like super like, not me though. I was just like, I don't like, it wasn't for me. And like lots of the things that were supposed to happen there extra weren't for me. But the editor was like, no, we can't do that. And I'm like, thank God, you know. Did you know there was supposed to be like Gambit was supposed to die and become a ghost? And I told somebody that. And they were like, that's a terrible idea. And I was like, oh, it was going to happen in Grant Morrison's New X-Men. They were like, brilliant. Like it just became like Citizen Kane, like just a slow clap. Or better yet, the Shia LaBeouf from his actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf, just the intense. Oh gosh. Isaiah Harris, thank you very much. Hey, me too. Not my favorite. I read it over and over. I keep it because every time, you know, like some new X-Men line launches something, they're like, this is the X-Men that made me love X-Men, made me understand X-Men. And I'm like, why can't I love this? I'm like, is it me? I'm like, it's one of those things like it makes me question existence, you know? I'm just like, so I keep it. And every now and again I reread it. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't think it's bad. I don't enjoy it. And I don't enjoy the direction that it took some things. I think that's the best way to put it. And the art isn't my favorite, but that's not what ultimately derailed it for me either. It's just the whole experience wasn't one that I ended up liking. It's so funny because that was the era where I actually was listening to recommendations from people because I was just getting into comics and I was like, what should I read? Like, what are the things? Like, please tell me. And that was very much like I think everything that people recommended to me, I didn't like. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do. And that was the birth of just doing whatever, Sasha, because like all the stuff, there was There was one shop. The dude, he was nice, but like he was recommending the book that he was recommending to me so hard. And I was brave because no, I don't. You know my thing about like talking to people. And so I was like, I'm gonna do it. So I finally like talked, and he was recommending it so much, and I hated it. And I was like, oh God, I can't do it. I never went back. I was like, I can't tell him that I hated it because I'm that person. This was years ago, though. In all fairness, I was like 20 something. So I was like, I can't let him know. He was so keen. Oh. I kept that book too. I can't let it go. I can't. It's just, there's also memories attached to it though. I'm like, you know what? That's the justification that I will give myself. That's the book when like, if I do the stream with some people that I'm trying to set up, they're gonna be like, why do you have that there? We know you hate it. I'll be like, look, listen, I'm trying. Oh. Let me catch up with all of you. Oh, what omnibus brings me the most joy on a regular basis? I can answer that. I can answer that. 52. 52 brings me joy on a consistent basis all the time. And it's also just because of the positive. It was one of the first omnibuses that I bought, and I still love it. And same with Cable/Deadpool. Was it still called Cable/Deadpool? No, that's the Deadpool and Cable edition when Deadpool got more popular. I love that one too. I love it. It's also one of the shippiest omnibuses of all time, and I love that too. So, Sol for X and comics. Thank you very much for the super chat, and I love that name, Sol for X. Grant Morrison wrote a great story. Unfortunately, it was one of the worst X-Men stories ever. Grant's manifesto, read the X-Men is about evolution. That was the other thing too. If you notice after that, they have to dial it way back. And then you get all the whole, like, there is so much less of them now because that was like they were going to become the dominant species on the planet. And that kind of destroys some of the allegory and metaphors they were working with. So then everybody had to like, nope, dial it back, take it all the way back. No more mutants. Oh. Have you read? Yeah. I love Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. Actually, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac was one of the choices for the vote, but it did not win. It came close. I'll probably do a runner-up round at some point for the votes, and who knows, it might win then. But Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, though, I have to admit, parts of it, I've said this before too, but parts of it are harder for me to read now than they were before I had kids. Just Squee and how abusive his parents are and stuff like that. Like that's just that's hard to read. It makes me think about my own kids. You know, I saw somebody earlier, I'm like, kids? I don't know why that's always so surprising to people. For the record, I have 2 kids. I have two kids and they are young. I never sleep. Have I powered through all this water? That's so sad. Let me not be a person who like does the obnoxious straw slurp. Put the straw there. Then we can play the game and guess which cup is mine. Not transfer proof in the slightest. Oh, what comics have you guys been reading lately? And let me ask you, like, does drama or like ancillary stuff affect your enjoyment of the books, or are you kind of like out of it? You're like, I don't even know what's happening or when it's happening or where it's happening. DC round robin, what? Sol for X, thank you again. Grant Morrison's X-Men is proof that you can break a character. The X-Men have never really recovered. Oh, and Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, how about Serenity Rose? I haven't read Serenity Rose, no. If you break a character really hard, you have to put a lot of effort into reconstructing them. And there's a lot more deconstruction narratives right now than reconstruction, because there's a lot of focus on the bleak and the dystopian, less on the hopeful. And I like both, but I feel like it would be nice to have a bit more reconstruction to balance out a lot of the deconstruction that's gone on. That's part of why I love Astro City so much, because there's just that hope and belief in heroes, even despite all the dark things that happen. There is this underlying, like, there's a good out there, you know, there's a good in the universe, and there are people who will strive to uphold it. And like, sometimes you just want that. Sometimes you just want, like, yay, someday my prince will come, or like, you know, whatever your positive thing is that you want to just have that moment. You know, sometimes you're just having a down day and you want your happy thing. Whatever that is, like whatever that may be, it's different for everybody. Some people, it's not even any form of entertainment. Sometimes it's just like going and sitting on your porch and watching cars go by or whatever it is. But everybody needs that little escapist moment in their day, wherever it comes from. You know, I'm a really big believer in the necessity of escapism for mental health. I do think it's important. And that doesn't mean that you can't talk about serious issues or anything like that, but it also means that there can be times where you can just be like, we are enjoying this thing now, and then we'll talk about or dissect it later. But for now, let us all rejoice in whatever the thing is. I think that's very important. They say a change is as good as a rest sometimes. And I think sometimes you just need that break from whatever is going on in your life, you know, just a quick reset, you know. Eugene Dunneman, thank you very much for the super chat. I think it's Dunman. I can't say anything, you know. Oh, yes, there is, of course, more Lois. There is always going to be more Lois. I would be the person out there campaigning for the "Where's my Superman's girlfriend" Lois Lane omnibus. Give me the Lois. I want the Lois. I want the Jimmy. I want all of the side character books. Send them to me right now. I'm deeply invested in Superman's supporting cast in the Silver Age. Please send them to me. Oh. Well, let's see. There is the Lois that I've been saving is the one where she marries a convict. So that was the thing. I'm like, I saved a proper marriage. Ooh, or the one where that guy tries to turn himself into a superhero to be with her and ends up dying. It's so good. Calvin Allen, thank you very much. Deconstructed, in quotes, superheroes always end up being Superman is really an a-hole. A lot of them do. No, it is. A lot of them do just take the what if Superman was evil, which you can do a really good story with that. But at this point, there are so many that you really need to bring something new to the table. Red Lantern Frank. Oh, the Red Lantern Corps. Greetings. I have been overlooking all the plot holes in all DC metal and death metal. Sometimes you gotta, like, but sometimes you can't. It's one of those things, you know, it really depends on what's going on with how far you're willing to take it. What is your threshold for plot holes? What is the moment where you're like, no, this far and no further? Oh, the Omniverse is testing me, I have to say, with some of those. And I'm not a hugely pedantic fan. Like, I enjoy things to line up and make sense, but I'm not one of those, you know, the turbo lift in this episode was shown to be on deck 3, but in this episode, it was in deck 5. And how do you explain that discrepancy? I can no longer enjoy it. Like, I'm not that far into it, but I can see, you know, if you were, why some things would really bother you. I need to check my little mommy app to make sure that we already made it longer than last time. So it's like, you know, baby steps. What are we doing? Oh, we're good. We're golden. Look at that. That's beautiful. Sleeping is the best thing. Oh, let me catch up with all of you. Oh, Valiant. You know, I actually watched Bloodshot the other day. I saw it. It popped up on Prime. It was like, you may like, and I was like, you don't know me. And then I clicked on it anyway. And it was okay. That was an okay movie. There was one really cool fight at the end, even though it was really overly CG'd, but the cool fight with the dude with all the prosthetics was the returns into like a spider. That was kind of worth the price of entry that I was already paying for Amazon Prime. But God, that was just such a mediocre representation of Bloodshot. I'm like, Bloodshot could be more interesting than this. Bloodshot deserved better. I'm gonna say it. Maybe that should be like, if that'll be my bag. I'll review really mediocre adaptations. Leave the good ones for other people. Let's just review trash. That's what I want. Next up, Black Scorpion, Steel. Name some others. No, I can't do Sheena. Oh, Sheena's rough. Sheena of the Jungle. That's yeah. Sometimes you can just feel your face retracting, like as you're watching. You're like, and sometimes people will throw labels onto things. You're like, oh, it's not that bad, and they're like, no, actually, it's Elektra. I forgot Elektra happened. I always forget about the Elektra movie. They did make a Sheena of the Jungle movie. Jay Parker, thank you very much for the super chat. It is very much appreciated. It goes back to random comics that we end up talking about here on this channel. It's a cycle. Barbed Wire. Don't call me babe. Oh, Barbed Wire. The edgy superhero remake of Casablanca that nobody asked for. As you can see, I watch a lot of trash. Oh yes, Hasselhoff, Nick Fury, the Shield movie that we deserve. Oh gosh. Which Punisher movie? Because there have been the Dolph Lundgren one, or like I love the John Travolta one so much. It's such a glorious mess. I love it. I like Spawn. I like the Spawn live action movie. I like Spawn in general. Where's my Spawn? Oh, Spawn's down there. I do enjoy Spawn. I didn't like the animated series too. Spawn was 90s edge that spoke to me. I was like, this is cool. Just for some reason, Spawn, I was like, yeah, Spawn. And like the Darkness and stuff. I'm like, the Darkness game is only $32. Did you know that? And it's still compatible with the PC and stuff that I have. And sometimes I'm so tempted to, like, I remember all those ads from back in the day, like, I never asked for the Darkness. And I'm like, I did, and I only had to pay $32.99. I'm tempted. But then you would see what a poor gamer I truly am. I used to stream sometimes games on Shipper's Guide to the Galaxy. And there was one that I just legit couldn't beat. And I was like, I'm having fun. And I would start yelling at me. They're like, why can't you succeed? I was like, I'm fun, and that's what counts. Sharing is caring. And they're like, no, winning, get good. We'll send you Ninja's book. Get good. So yeah, I'm an enthusiastic gamer, but not a highly skilled one. For it is like a skill, like anything. Like the more you do it, the better you get at it, like with anything. But I have fun. That's what's important. Don Sean, thank you very much. Why isn't Jason Momoa likeness the official Aquaman? He makes it better, like Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury. They've kind of done that with Jackson Hyde now. They've kind of Momoified Jackson Hyde, aka Aqualad. Don't send me back down Aquaman hole. Don't. I reread the issue the other day where the Aqua Baby comes into play, where they have the Aqua Baby, which is only a few issues after the twin thing. Then it's just like Aqua Baby, and I'm like, Aqua Baby, that's so hammy and ridiculous and campy. The world needs to see the Aqua Baby. Michael Carr, thank you very much. Hi Sasha, big fan. Any tips for starting my own show? Yes, just do it. Not to like the Shia LaBeouf meme from all those years ago, like don't let your dreams be dreams. But seriously, do it. Because the biggest hurdle I find is starting. And if you're worried about, like, what are we going to do about any quality issues or say, people enjoy watching you grow, and talk about the things you really care about, because people can tell if you're just, doing stuff because like, oh, it's the trending thing or whatever. Like, yeah, it's important to try and follow trends too. But if you can find that balance of what you love and, you know, putting it out there, I would say the best thing is just to do it, you know, build it and they will come, as they say. And also just know that it's not an overnight thing. Like, it does take a lot of work. There was this, you know, kind of meme that like, oh, like it's not a real job, like being a YouTuber, you just sit around and whatever, but it's actually a lot of work. It's because especially at the start for most people, unless you're joining a team, you are doing everything. You're researching, you're scripting, you're editing, you're doing all of it. And so it's constant, because with the way the algorithm works, you need to constantly be uploading, unless you're one of those really lucky people who hits that kind of niche market where you can do like a video a week or whatever. Otherwise, it's a constant thing. So like, while other people are like, oh, weekends offer this, like you're kind of constantly like checking your back end, you're making sure things are good, you're replying to your own emails, you're, you know, checking all the SEO. So like, it is a lot of work. So just be aware that you really need to love it if it's something that you're going to dedicate that much time to, because it is a lot of work, you know? Solve for X, thank you very much. The WandaVision news about Doctor Strange was rough for me. They create logical plot holes to appease outside social pressures / perspectives. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. And especially because it was their own universe that they were playing in. They could have contextualized it however they wanted. And they even cut a really cool thing they were going to do where like the messages and the commercials were going to be like coming from him trying to like penetrate, which would have made sense because in Thor Ragnarok, like he was aware of what was happening and briefly intervened. So they did kind of, the way they played that, I don't feel was the best. And the rationale they gave, I feel like it really underestimates, I feel like, both Wanda as a character, Strange as a character, the audience, just a bunch of stuff. Like, basically just didn't leave me with the best feelings. It's like, if Doctor Strange showed up and someone was like, oh, like, great, here he comes, like, here's this man, it's like, that really decontextualizes the entire situation, and that person isn't looking at it isn't playing with it on its own terms in its own field, and is very much bending over backwards to make it something that it's not. And so I don't know, the whole thing just made me a little sad. Of like, if the Sorcerer Supreme shows up to a magic thing, is like, hey, magic, let's chat, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. It doesn't mean he has to be right or that he has to be like you could have, they're colleagues. They saved the world together. Like, it's your universe. You can create an entire relationship that we haven't seen yet for them in the gap of time. That's you could have done anything. You have the power. So yeah, disappointing. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. There we go. Oh, let me catch up. I gotta catch up. Mandela Butterfly. Favorite Asian / Pacific Islander superhero. I'm going to be controversial here. I don't really have, like, aside from like a top like 3 tier of people, like I don't have like favorites. I can find things that I like about most any character. And also, like I've said in the past live stream, if you ever ask me anything specific, I forget that all people exist. I forgot Booster Gold existed the other day. Someone asked me, who's your favorite hero? And I was just like, I am very partial to Dr. Light, though. From when they updated Dr. Light and she joined Justice League International, that was a revamp that I enjoyed. The legacy of that, that was fun. I like Ryan Choi as the Atom as well. A bunch of the legacy characters from that period when they were doing like Jaime Reyes and all of that stuff, I had fun with. The Atom series from that time period is very fun. I know they make fun of heroes who shrink, and it's like they do all like the tropes of like gotta go into a body and like whatever, but I liked it. I don't know. Not all tropes are bad. Calvin Allen, any thoughts on the Hellfire Gala and outfits? The outfits really varied. The outfits very much varied. Fashion is one of those things. Like, some people are really into it, and for other people, it's ridiculous. So if you're a fashion person and that's a thing that you enjoy, I feel like you'll enjoy the promotion. But if you're not, it's just going to be like there's going to be a disconnect there. It's one of those things where the marketing probably is not going to land with the audience that it's going to potentially, Oh my God. Night Guy Alex, thank you very much. What's your thoughts on the new which new one? Do you mean John? Do you mean like John Kent? Then his new #1? Do we mean that? There are so many Supermen now. I can't keep up. There are too many. There are too many at this point to keep up entirely with what's going on. It's like you're running a race, you know, to keep up with all the things that are happening. There are a few things that I'm consistently like on the ball with. And I think that's fine too, is like as you explore more comics, you learn more and more things. Like I missed a cue, like a big thing that I'm going to bring up actually, because I'm going to do a Vampirella video about her first appearance at some point. In the movie, the nerd who she talks to is named Forey Ackerman, which is actually a reference to one of her creators. And I was like, oh, that's super cool. I totally missed that first time and second time and third time viewing it. That's a nice, cute nod and really shows that, yes, that movie, like I said, is really trying. It does not make the scene or the movie any better, but that's nice. It still doesn't make the kiss any less awkward though. But I'll bring that up in a when I do that video, because there's a couple of other homages too that are just cool that tie into the original story, which is neat, and it's fun to highlight those things. But I'm like, everybody is going through and, you know, learning as you go, learning cool new things. And I think that's part of the fun. Like you're adding to layers, because comics are such like a vast medium that there's so much. And so it's very difficult to broad strokes it as comics are this or comics are that, because sometimes when people talk about comics, they're not even talking about the same thing or the same type or genre or anything. So I feel like there's been a lot of gross generalizations when it comes to comics that are made, and some of them can be pretty unfair or like hurtful, you know, sometimes, especially if you actually are a fan of the medium and you're like, it's not like that. But yeah, so I enjoy that, the layered journey of like, oh, this person's from over here and this person showed up over here, and like, oh, this is tied to this person worked here, and it's just like it's really exciting. So it's like every day I'm learning something new, a receptacle of knowledge that I don't need, but I find incredibly interesting, you know? I don't know. How do you feel about your comic book journey? Do you like to like go in and just be like, bam, I know it all now? Or is it kind of fun to be like, this, that, that, da, 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 da. This is a happy wig. This is a happy wig for a happy time. Yeah, I know, that's right. It's not always like that. Oh, it's not always like that. There are pros and cons, like with anything. Oh. Devil's Clan. The first one, yeah, I think the first floppy is the only one. If you want the whole thing, the book is what you need. The book is 113 pages, and I just thought, I was like, can I flip through it for you? And then I was like, there's a lot of boobs. There's like, I managed to edit it so that the boobs, let me show you. Ugh. No, it's not even in the shot. What am I pointing at? I managed to edit it so that the amount of boobage was not on screen, but there are a lot of boobs. So I don't know if I can flip through it. There's penises too. There's everything. But I don't know if I could just casually flip through. I could see like YouTube, someone be like, what? No, get out. Be like, that's not allowed. I saw a great video from one of the YouTubers I watch where she did a try on haul of clothes, and they demonetized her because she wore a bikini. And so she re-uploaded the same video and had her male friend wear the bikini, and it was monetized. And I was just like, yup, sounds about right. Like, boobs? How dare you? Disgusting, demonetized. Except for Adam and Eve, or like some of the adult stuff. So many people are getting sponsored by Adam and Eve. I was like, dang, there's throwing the money around out there, Adam and Eve. I guess it's because if the person is willing to promote Adam and Eve, I guess a lot of people say no, probably, because it's a very adult product that is not family friendly. Oh. Was Vampirella the start of Casually movie? Maybe. I don't know. The only thing is that because I did that video about how I don't want to spotlight adaptations, and I don't, but I feel like even if I did, like, let's say a movie a month, people would be like, hypocrite. You said you would never speak of them. And I'd be like, no, I didn't actually say that. I'd be like, yes, you did. That's the funny thing about YouTube or anything internet. It's that sometimes people say something and someone will be like, so you said this. You're like, but I didn't. And you'll play back the thing. It's like, no, but you actually said this. You're like, what are you talking about? What's happening? Oh. There we go. At the time of this recording. That's right. Exciting news. I got word from the border shipment gods that the shirts that I made in tandem with an artist are coming very soon. So I am excited. And then we can launch that and that'll be fun. And then we're going to do more stuff, hopefully. So very fun. I got to email him later, actually, and be like, they're coming. They have arrived. Like that poster from Alexandra that is, it's back there. It was stuck in border hell for like over a month. They're like, this poster is a threat to national security / it's just not a priority. So we're going to send priority things first. But I like to imagine that there was a squad of people like, this poster, we don't understand it. Whenever I order makeup, which used to be more, they stop it and you can always see which one they open, because fun fact, not fun at all, actually, no, interesting fact, the big drug trade for Canada is heroin, and lots of smuggling happens in makeup. You can do the lipstick tubes and stuff like that. That's a smuggler drug. That's a thing that I know. It's a fact. It's like, I know that, like, we have a maple syrup cartel. That's also a thing that's up here. I watch a lot of crime things because it's interesting. Mechasaurus, thank you very much. I never thought I'd read a book about Damien, but the new Robin is really good. It's like, what if Shonen Tournament arc with DC? In that video, so many people were like, what about this tournament arc? I can't believe I forgot Yu Yu Hakusho, which, yeah, did have like the biggest tournament arc of all, arc ever. And I love that show too. At one point, I nearly cosplayed as Yusuke because I'm that person. I was like, who do I want to be? Yusuke, that's me. And also, of course, Dragon Ball Z. I'm like, oh yeah, why? Dragon Ball Z was ridiculous. The entire Majin Buu saga, which was the one I really liked, and lots of people, and the Cell tournament too. People don't like the Buu one. I liked the Buu one a lot. I don't know why people don't enjoy the Buu one as much. If someone knows why is the Buu saga not as popular? I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't like the Frieza one as much. Yes, I watched all of Dragon Ball Z. That's also a thing that I did. Oh. Let's see. Yeah, I mentioned My Hero because I love My Hero. I like My Hero. A Promise Neverland is another one that I'm really enjoying. I like that one a lot. I'm not a dub versus sub person. Like, I will watch whichever one sounds better to me, because there are some that I actually prefer with dubs, but then there are some where you're like, dubs, no, stop. Just, subs or GTFO. It really depends. And a lot of the ones on Netflix, you need the subs. And so, like, right now I can't. Like, later, where I'll be able to catch up on all my anime. I do all the things. I play the games. I read the manga. I watch the anime. I read the comics. I do the sci-fi. Like, yeah, I do all of the things. Like, I was so excited when I heard that HBO Max, even though I don't have it, which is also why I haven't watched the Snyder Cut yet, it was like, they have Babylon 5 now remastered. I'm like, they do. That's great. I can't afford HBO Max. So you can't just get HBO Max up here. You have to get it through Crave. So then you have to get 2 services, and so then it's $50. And I'm like, no. I don't care about anything that much. I mentioned Hunter x Hunter. I did mention, isn't Hisoka so uncomfortable in Hunter x Hunter? That's a thing. Oh, I also like Food Wars. That's not really a tournament arc, though, because in every issue of Food Wars, you get a recipe that you can try and make, and I've done that. So, oh. Wall Crush Cartoons. Thank you very much. Who is your top 5 favorite characters in comics? No, you can't. I can't remember anything. I'm just going to start with my man Booster. I love Booster a lot. And the fact that there's a new series coming, it honestly vacillates. I feel like I must really like Hal Jordan. Like, I don't think I do, but I feel like I must, because I read all his comics. It's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I think I've read like most Hal Jordan things, but I'm always roasting him. But I must like him, I guess. I don't know. Oh. There we go. Let me catch up. You can like someone and not respect. Is that me and Hal Jordan? I don't know. Gosh. Hal Jordan is your brother Voodoo. Oh. Tim Kenny, thank you very much. Are you still following X-Men? Thoughts on current events with them? I'm low-key following them. Like, and it's the main stuff. Like, I'm not following all the tangential, like Excalibur, X Factor, Sword, like all of that. So I'm only kind of keeping up just a little bit. Like, I'm aware of events and I'll catch up on what's going on so that I'm not too confused when I pick something up. So it's not like, what, who, what, why? But overall, I'm not, there was a Guy Gardner casting announcement. What am I doing with my life? Oh yeah, the HBO Max series. Like, it's the thing I don't have. God. Okay, hold on. Who's Guy? Guy Gardner. Not One Punch. Not today. Not today. News. Well, just tell me. Finn Whitrock. I know who that is. But hold on. I'm too out of the loop to... What have I seen him in? American Horror Story. There we go. That's fine. I mean, I'll give anybody a chance, you know? Sometimes they're like, this person's the worst. And then they end up being really good. So I'll give anybody, you know, a shot. I'm curious to how they're going to portray Guy. Like, I'll be interested to see that. I have Guy's an interesting character, but if I were to rank the Lanterns, I'd probably put him low for me personally, because when I was first introduced to him during the Justice League International, I felt like they took what they were doing with the abrasiveness too far. And it was one of those things where it always stuck with me. And even though, yeah, it's like he's different now, but I always remember that stuff. And it just made him not a fun character to read. Like the one issue that is like the big joke issue where like, haha, he takes Ice to a porn theater. And it's like, haha, it's like, I didn't find that funny. And I was just like, that's scary. Like I've been on a date where the person doesn't take you where they say that you're going, and it's not fun and it's really scary. And then you're like, oh God, like how do I leave? Like I've got to get out of here and like all this stuff. And so like to me, they were like, ha 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 ha. And I was like, that's no. And especially if you're in like a seedy place and then you're like, oh God, like I've got to hightail it now. And like I told people I was here and now I'm not here. And like, you know, it's just not, you know. So for me, and then people are like, haha, it's just like, you know, so like macho and whatever. And then, you know, kept following it up with like, oh, he's punching like Ted and like the kidneys and calling him fat. And it's like, it's just, for me, it took it too far. Like the later stuff is better and they do like more of a balance with characterizing him and stuff like that. But for me, I just had a very visceral reaction to like some of the early characterizations and it stayed with me. So I'm always like, I'll just, other lanterns. Other lanterns. He can be really good though. So especially if you get him on a team where he's a fun dynamic, like the him and Jon Stewart stuff where they bounce off of each other can be a lot of fun. So I'm really curious to see how they play it because it could be very entertaining. That's my stuff with, you know, that's my stuff with Guy. Everybody has their own stuff. Oh, the Warrior Guy. I don't hate Warrior Guy. Some people really don't like Warrior Guy. I don't hate it. Oh. Ace Wingate, thank you very much. Having a conversation with a friend. If Beyonce was a superhero, who would she be? She would still be herself. It's so powerful. She's so powerful. That's how powerful she is. She would just be her own superhero. Night Guy Alex, no, the new movie. What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm sorry. I'm just not oh, I have to go back and connect it. Oh, the new movie. I haven't thought about that too much. I find that in general, DC tends to do better with their series than their movies, just as a rule, with exceptions that prove it. Michael Carr, it's my birthday. Happy birthday. And thanks for the tips. Well, I hope they help. I hope they're helpful. But remember, also do what you think is right. Don't just take my advice. Goblin Nerd, thank you very much. Just wanted to thank you for turning me on to Astro City. The trade paperbacks seem hard to find right now, unfortunately, though, but that's life. I know. I heard a rumor, let me go all number 3 on you. I heard a rumor that they're supposed to be getting a new publisher, and then if they do that, they'll always do what always happens when that happens. They'll put the stuff back in print. I find that some of the older stuff is easier to find, funnily enough. So yes, but I'm glad that you're enjoying it. I'm so sad and bummed that I'm like, here's a thing, and then they're like, yeeted off the internet, impossible to find. Oh, Queen Bee, yeah. That would be, and that would work. And then all her beehive people could come. And she has a fashion line of really extra clothes that sometimes I look at them and I'm like, but they're steep, of course, because, Blue Ivy and the Beyonce line. I'm like, I cannot afford any kind of designerness like that. But I'll watch people try it on because that's my jam. Mechasaurus, thank you very much. Jean Lun Yang's Batman/Superman, still dope. I enjoy the Batman/Superman. I always have. Just, even their old hokey stuff. Oh, and the hilariously unintentional shippy stuff. That's my favorite. There are so many comics like that. And you can tell it's not intentional, like that just makes it better. Like the first episode of He-Man, which has to be intentional. There's no way. I was watching it and I was like, no, come on. He-Man's great. My favorite thing about He-Man, though, is the fact that he has that secret identity that's completely unnecessary. And so his dad is perpetually disappointed with him. And all he needs to do is tell him that he's He-Man. But he's just like, oh, man, you're such a wuss. I wish you were like He-Man. I'm like, this is such an unnecessary secret identity. And it's great. He's causing all this personal strife for himself for no reason. The embarrassment that his dad has at the start towards Adam is one of the funniest things in He-Man to me. Oh, gosh. Yes, never forget my shipper roots. Oh, gosh. There's a shipper, though, in a new Suicide Squad, but it's that, like, awkwardness where it's like you can tell, like, the writer knows it exists but doesn't fully, like, understand the mechanics. Or at least if they do, it's not coming across. Like, let me not assume. Maybe they're like all up in it, but it's not coming across in that story. So yes. Which character is on the right side of your ceiling? Oh, I love that poster so much. I'm so tempted. Can I angle you up? Can I angle you up? No, it's not worth it. I'm so tempted. It's not worth it. It's a really cool poster though of like all the DC characters from the Bronze Age. They're like all up there in everything. So yes. I'm so tempted now. Now it's gonna live in my mind. I'm like, I should angle it up, but I'm not, because I know I love the angle it's at now. And I know that if I move it, I will never get it back to where I want it to be. So I'm just gonna live. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it there. Oh gosh. I can't believe that she's still asleep. That's blowing my mind. I can't even handle it. That's the funny thing, is the first time your kids sleep through the night, you wake up anyway. Because you're so used to them waking up. They're like, what's wrong? Something's gone wrong. My spider sense is tingling. Use your second cam. I don't have a set. What kind of second cam? What kind of production do you think this is? What kind of high-tech, what kind of high-tech savvy from the person who couldn't even do a short? Come on now. Come on now. There's having faith and then there's asking for miracles. Come on now. I appreciate it. Yeah, I could take a picture and post on Instagram. I might. It's honestly not that exciting though. Call me Kalisis. Thank you very much. Do you read manhua? Potentially, but I might just be not knowing what that is. I don't think I do though. So let me not say yes. Yes, it's a camera behind me, but it's not attached to anything. I know, enhance, Jordy, enhance. Actually, data enhance would be who it is. It's not connected. That's my filming camera for when I film my videos. I don't know why I just blanked on what my camera is for, but it's not connected to this. Oh God, I don't even have a second monitor. Like, I have things closed into little tiny boxes on the first monitor. Oh, Korean manga. Yes. Yeah, a little bit. Not as much as Japanese, but a little bit. And also a lot of web stuff for that. I've read some, yeah, there's this one. Yeah, like Killing Stalking and stuff where it just got real intense. Randy Johnson, thank you very much. Happy early Mother's Day. A late live. This is new. Every day is Mother's Day. I don't know if it will remain new. I kind of like doing them late at night, and it's a nice change of pace also from the weekend ones where we do them during the day, because then different people can also come in, because when you stream at the same time all the time, it's great for consistency, but also then some people can never make it because, you know, just depending on your time zone, sometimes they'll never line up. So it is nice to sometimes do impromptu random, you know, time streams as well. So that way, you know, other people can get in on the liveness, because there's a different vibe to when you're live and in the chat versus re-watching it after. Even though then you can get a kind of podcast feel. But then, like, for me, especially because I respond to the live chat and read them, if you know, if you're not there, they're kind of like, what? Huh? What is she talking about? And you have to pull the live chat out on the side and like all of that kind of stuff. So I know someone's like blown your mind. You're like, Killing Stalking. Like, yeah, that was a thing. It was a journey that I was on that I couldn't get off. I couldn't get off of it. Oh gosh. I should review, Jasmine. I should review the Batman Huntress Cry for Blood at some point, but there's lots of stuff that I want to get to. So much. I'm on this weird Lady Death kick right now because someone recommended the anime, and then I fell into looking at Lady Death, and I started exploring bad girl art and then good girl art from like the 40s onwards. And now I'm just in a bizarre space. Oh, it's a bizarre space. And then tomorrow it'll probably be something else entirely, because tomorrow is Thursday. Yes, tomorrow is Thursday, so nothing new is coming out, and I can finish my Connor vid, and then it's, ooh, yes, the Claylist. The Claylist is not dead. I have Clayface 7, the serial killer Clayface, to share with all of you, because I have not abandoned it. So yeah, there's more Clayface. I'm really excited to do 7. Also, there's a really terrible cover that I'm going to take and manipulate to be part of my thumbnail. And I'm real excited. Goblin Nerd, thank you very much. My wife's a big fan of Sandman, October Faction, and Lock and Key. What other comic series would you recommend her? Oh, so she's into like that kind of like horror-y realm. I would recommend you look at Aftershock. Aftershock Comics they're not quite as long, like a lot of them are miniseries, but they have some fun horror stuff that she might enjoy if that's the kind of jam that she's working with. Like I really like Lock and Key a lot. You know what I read last night, or was rereading part of last night? Milk Wars. Because there's this quote on the cover of Milk Wars that says that it's impossible to describe, but easy to recommend. And I was like, you can describe this. And then I can't. My husband this morning was like, so Milk Wars, tell me about it. And I was like, well, and then nothing came out. It's just this silence. I was like, I read it. That was the thing that I read. Trying to explore Milk Wars. Like, I want to, because Milk Wars is so interesting, but I'm like, how do you even get this, the things that I can't even talk. It's robbed me of speech even now. if you can find, okay, for your wife, if you can find any of the adaptations of Books of Blood done in comic book form, some of those are really good. Also, the Hellraiser series, I would recommend. I really enjoy the Hellraiser series. The more modern series, the one where it's a continuous story with like Kirsty and stuff, less than the more anthology style series, which was interesting, but it also played a lot in some very not very comic book standard art styles. So some of it would be a bit impenetrable. Like there were some where they were beautiful works of art, but they didn't really work too well in terms of helping with comic book storytelling. But I'm always here for a good Pinhead or, you know, the Hellraiser story. So yes. The spirit. Let's see. Let's create more clay faces. I'm sure they will. My gosh, because okay, so that's 7. Then there's 8 Johnny Williams. And then if you count all like the other clay faces like Mudface and Clownface, but then you have to think about the universe reboots. So like the universe reboots, okay, Omniverse time. How does that work for Clayface? Like, because we decided on a Basil Clarlo Clayface, but then amalgamated his backstory with a bunch of the others, but now all the others also like how what? So are there 8 again? You know? Just what are we doing? I don't know. This is, you know, for people who are following Clayface, these are the important things that we need to know. The people demand answer. Can you imagine? You're like, DC, this is the you know, your one question. Tell me about Clayface. This is the one thing. This is the one thing that we need to know as fans. It's the truth that we deserve. Where's Clayface? Oh. But it's late and there are still things to be done. The day is not over, even though it's night. So it technically is. The night is not over. So thank you for hanging out. It was a lot of fun to just chit chat, catch up, all of that good stuff. There are more videos coming soon. Connor coming at you very soon. And of course, more stuff. If you enjoy this kind of just talking about random stuff that's going on in like the news or what's happening or that kind of stuff, let me know. Leave a comment on the video itself because I'm about to pop off and we can do this kind of thing more often because some things I find don't really need like a whole video themselves. And also with news, then they end up being old anyway. So yes. Oh, before I go, generally helpful software. Thank you very much. Thanks for the video about the Zatanna series. Enjoyed it greatly. It was fun to make. I love doing the series retrospectives. But I'm going to pop off and say bye-bye. Okay, bye-bye. I'll see you soon.